Hello and welcome to another episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. I'm with JMF Hollywood 6 from the Trash Talkers. How you doing?
I am great, JJ, again, and it's always an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for having me on, my friend.
And today, you posed the question, has cash / the dollar become obsolete? Now, I would argue those are two separate questions, but do give me your thoughts.
Well, I mean, the question is pretty obvious, but is it not inevitable? I mean, with everyone using, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, debit cards, credit cards, most people don't even. I mean, I would say most Americans, I can't speak on Germans, but most people, shop from Amazon, which is a digital currency you have to use to purchase that said item from Amazon. So is it not inevitable that eventually, if not, it already is, the dollar has become obsolete?
That's all, at least in the US, still handled in dollars, right? So, the cash money, certainly we could exist without. I would argue there's still value in it. And I actually like cash money. I think we talked about this before, right? I first of all, in Germany, these days it's pretty much you can pay with card anywhere, but it used to be that a lot of places wouldn't take it. Especially like smaller businesses, right? You're talking like your mom and pop shops, although most of these are also dying, so. Like supermarkets, I think you could pay with your debit card for forever. But, it is definitely moving that way, but Germany has been slower in adopting a lot of those sort of technologies. So there's actually still a lot of cash going around here, and I personally actually prefer cash.
Really?
Yeah, I get that there's theoretically there's if you were to get robbed or something, then obviously having a card on you that you could just lock has advantages. But and especially because if you're talking debit cards, they don't print the PIN on those, so
yeah,
they're pretty much useless. Or at the very least, by the time you would have cracked the PIN, I will have called my bank and canceled it. But I think for cash, it's just very simple, right? You have money in your wallet, and if you want to buy something, and you have less money in the wallet than the thing costs, you can't afford it, right? Obviously, it's a bit of an oversimplification. If you want to buy a car or a house, you probably aren't gonna take it out of the bank and then pay it in cash. That's also mighty suspicious. But yeah, no, I actually just from practical standpoint, right? We talked about, I think last time we were on, you talked about how your mother told you to never
get a credit card,
right? Never buy things on credit, and so it's basically the same idea, right? If you always pay in cash, you can never go in the negative.
Right. Well, now you had said, you brought up, for instance, God forbid this happens to anyone watching this or anyone, period, but you get robbed. If you have a bunch of cash on you, they can take your wallet and, hey, they're gone. They take your wallet that's just full of cards. You can instantly call a 800 number. I don't know if it's a whatever, might be a 900 number over there, but you can instantly call a number, lock your card, your money's safe. And you had brought up, going to places and using a debit card. That's basically the same thing. If you don't have the funds on your debit card to pay for something, that you don't have the amount of money on your debit card, then your debit card declines. So basically, it's like the dollar is almost the same as a debit card. And if you, I don't want to go into conspiracy theory mode here, but it's almost like, what if the government, or what if, and I get why the dollar is becoming, or a physical dollar bill is becoming obsolete, is because it's easier. They're easier transactions. Everything's digital. Everything's so much easier to keep up with on a business level, on a financial level, whatever you want to say. But when it comes down to it, if you really think about it, and I can't speak from a Germanic side, but from an American side, the actual cash, it might be it's almost only strictly used for drugs or strip clubs. You know what I mean? You can't go to the strip club and swipe a card. I know the joke where everyone say, "Oh, can I swipe my card?" No, you can't do that. But when you're purchasing from a drug dealer, you usually have to have cash there. So it's like if the government takes away the use of cash and it's not in circulation, with the people around the country, then that kind of throws the drug problem out the window. But then again, drug cartels and places like that, or people like that, they're gonna find a way to get money, whether it be crypto, whether it be anything. But the dollar itself just seems to be disappearing from my point of view.
I mean, again, right? Like, the dollar isn't disappearing. You just aren't handling any bills anymore.
Yeah.
The dollar as a currency is still is literally the spine of the entire world economy.
USD. I mean a physical piece of cotton currency is what I mean.
So cash. I think it is disappearing. In the US in particular. I do think it again. I think in Europe and especially in Germany, it's still a little more common. I can't really speak to the rest of the world, but I personally find it quite useful. And also, I don't know if there's a misunderstanding here, but I was under the assumption that debit refers to a card that directly pulls from your bank account, right?
Right, but you have to have cash or no, you don't, because some people get paid electronically, and that's just all done through computers.
Most bank accounts can overdraw, so technically you could pay more than you have in your bank account with a debit card.
Not. No,
and also
more with a credit card.
Overdraft fees are also terrible because you actually end up paying more on overdraft fees than you do if you actually take out credit.
Right. Well, I'm curious on your thoughts on what do you think about the whole thing where I said about, drugs? Most drug dealers, cartel, they deal in cash. What do you think the government has anything to do with, hey, let's push cards, let's push digital currency versus physical currency because it could lower, the trade in drugs or arms or prostitution, what have you? I
mean, first of all, I'm pretty sure if I wanted to pay for prostitution, I could probably use a card. But second of all, I think the fact of the matter is, there are other things of value besides money, right? If they really wanted to, they could literally just move to gold or something. Probably a little bit hard to
real quick.
Yes,
sorry, Yeah, I get that, but real quick, you had said something, Mom, and I'm gonna let you finish. But my mom always said there's three things, and I've heard this from multiple people in my family. There's three things you can sell anywhere in the world. Do you know? Just curious, do you know what those three things are? Three things you can sell anywhere in the world.
As in no, not legally, but as in practically.
Period. There's three things you can sell to a person in the desert, someone in the Arctic. Do you know what those three things are? Just curious.
What was it? Food, water, and sex?
Sex is one, so vagina is one.
Yeah, I said food, water, and sex.
No, food and water is not. You can sell you can sell guns anywhere, you can sell gold anywhere, and you can sell vagina anywhere. Those are three things that will sell anywhere in the world. Sorry, continue.
I guess yes, I think guns depends on where you are. You might actually have a harder time finding interested buyers, but I don't know, not really the point. Yeah, no, I think if we're talking valuables, right? There are probably other things. I also think that saying that it's only used for legal stuff is probably a little bit of an oversimplification, right? If you went to a garage sale or something, you probably wouldn't expect to be able to swipe your card either. So I do think there are the practical person-to-person interactions, right? When you're not interacting with a business and you're just interacting with a person, I think it's oftentimes much easier to just handle it in cash. Now, I guess in America in particular, you have apps that do that.
I was gonna ask, do you guys have Cash App there?
I don't think we have Cash App. I do think we have equivalents, but I've never used one. I guess PayPal is what we would probably just use if I ever have to get someone money, right? And if you PayPal a friend, you don't have to pay any fees, which I believe Cash App and Venmo actually do require fees, small amounts. So So I don't know how those got popular over, again, something like PayPal, which is internationally available and, at least between friends, has no fees, right? If you purchase from a business or something where you want to have to actual the actual buyer protections, you do have to pay some fees, or rather, actually, the recipient has to pay some fees. But yeah, whatever. Right. So, cash. I do think cash is quite practical for those sort of things. I also the whole phone thing. I guess that's the other thing, right? I don't carry a phone on me. and I usually don't carry more than $50 of cash on me. So actually, in practical terms, if I was robbed, I would probably lose less value than almost everyone else. Because most people carry phones that cost hundreds of euros or dollars or whatever around with them that would probably be more worth stealing than like any money or cards. Well, I mean the cards if you can actually like access them, but.
So you don't carry a cell phone with you?
Not regularly, no.
Do most Germanic people do that?
Oh yeah,
like, no. Don't carry a cell phone?
That's just me. That's just I'm very much outside there.
May I ask why?
I just don't need to be reachable at all times. Actually, as a matter of fact, I don't really use my phone at all as a phone. I mostly just use it as an outplug at times. So, like, I don't think I need to be reachable. And the only advantage for me for having a phone is, like, you know, the whole, like, if you get in a car crash or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, you know, car crashes usually involve two people.
What if that person doesn't have a phone? But anyway, back to the cash. And, you know, you're bringing up the thing, you know, you don't carry... And you also said that most Germanic people actually do carry their phones. You happen to be the exception. Yeah. But this might be just an American thing, actually. Now that if I think about it a little more, the more that I think about it, I'm thinking this might be more of an American thing. Because like see, we live in Atlanta, you know, and we have people here called the Water Boys, or we have a homeless, you know, big homeless population as well. But when you stop to a light and you have these little kids, 12, 13 years old, coming up, hey man, you know, $1 for a water, and it's like, no one carries cash. Or you got a homeless guy like, hey, you know, can you spare some change? No one carries cash. And it's like, maybe that's just an American thing. Maybe it's not a worldwide thing. Maybe it's just where here, I don't know, dude. I really think maybe the drugs and illegal things might have something to do with it disappearing, other than it just being easier. It's an easier transaction. You know, I need to purchase something in Switzerland and it'll be here in 5 days. You obviously can't go to Switzerland or mail them a check. Hey, just take my card. Here you go. Wham, bam. So what's the point of it anymore, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why it is disappearing is because of practical reasons. I think the main reason why cash is holding on is again, right, because if you're interacting with another person, it oftentimes is the easiest interface, especially when we're talking, like, I don't think that most people necessarily have, like, PayPal or whatever other equivalents that might be around here. So I don't know if, like, saying, like, oh yeah, like, you buy something on, like, a flea market or at, like, I don't know, like a garage sale or something, as I said, right, I don't think there's, like, gonna be, like, a way to get them the money, like, easily unless you have cash. But
right.
But obviously there are ways around it, and if you have, and obviously we're talking network effect again, right? If there are enough people that use the same service to send money, then that becomes viable as an alternative. I think at that point, the main reason why it would stick around is preference, and I mean, yeah, I guess crime, but I mean, and don't know if the fact that it's used for crime is necessarily a reason to get rid of it. Because, as we said, right, they are, like, listen, right, criminals are going to find a way to monetize their businesses. So that's not...
no matter what.
Going to be the problem.
Yes.
And so, realistically, that is not an argument against cash. I think the main argument against cash is just that, like, the less there is in circulation, less practical it becomes in a lot of ways as well. Right? If we go to stores where you can only pay with cards, then people are less incentivized to carry cash, right? If I have to have a card on me anyways, if I have to use it for this, right? If, say, like, my local gas station, right, is self-service. So they only take card. Because, you know, it's self-service, right? Like, they don't want to send someone to, like, empty out some sort of thing that, you know, obviously, you would have to have, like, an ATM or something to that effect there, right? And then they have to empty it out, and then someone might blow it up, which, I mean... like, was going down for a while, people blowing up ATMs, but whatever.
Let me ask you this. What if some solar flare or some digital glitch happens to where, you know, Wi-Fi goes out for a month. There's no more, me and you won't be able to do this. I'm in Atlanta, you're in Germany. There's no way we can do this. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no banking system. Everything just collapses digitally. Then would the dollar go back to having the power that it did? Or do you think it would go to towards more like a material like gold?
I guess the question is, right, like, what about the bank records, right? If they are still, if, like, a lot of the records are still available, then most money is essentially still there, right? Like, the ledgers are still there, you might have to go back to paper. But I think then the currency would just reassert itself in a physical form. If you're going into a situation where, like, a lot of bank records are gone as well, and, like, it's basically unknowable how much money someone has, I think the money that you do physically have might lose its value, because if we assume that, like, all of everyone's savings are gone, except for, like, whatever cash they happen to carry, I don't think that people would be like, oh, well, that cash must be worth whatever it was always worth, because then they think of it differently, and that might devalue it. I mean, money is interesting in general, right? Because...
Yes, it is, because we're literally giving value to a piece of a piece of material. It's crazy when you think about it.
I mean, and arguably even less when we're talking about digital, right? Because, like, there isn't even that like coin anymore, which, I mean, in most cases is worth less than the value printed on in terms of material cost, but at least it's something, like a physical thing. At that point, you're just, like, sending bits back and forth, and that is the value, right? The only reason why money works is because we all basically collectively agreed that it has value. And that's obviously not literally true, because all of us, like, weren't alive when, like, the first currencies came about. We just kind of inherited that belief. I mean, I suppose I was literally alive when the euro was introduced. Not that I remember it, but I mean... The country's previous currencies were pegged to the euro during the transition, so the euro is in some ways still just a continuation of the individual, like, currencies, and so it's not like it's like an entirely new thing that we suddenly came up with. I guess the one thing that I do remember is a cryptocurrency, right? But
which I've heard a lot of people have backed out of. Like, I remember when crypto was, like, booming, and I've been, like, hearing and seeing articles that people are, like, saying, you know, I'm done with crypto.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with crypto as a payment method is that most of the major cryptocurrencies are incredibly volatile, right? So they are used more as speculative assets than as an actual currency, right? You can buy things with Bitcoin, but most of the time, I mean, and there's obviously some online gambling and whatnot, but generally speaking, people will buy Bitcoin hoping that the price goes up and they can then sell it, right? So it's treated like a stock, which is another thing that, like, the value is entirely created by the fact that we believe in it. Now, technically, a stock does represent a share of ownership in a company, unlike a Bitcoin, which doesn't represent anything. But, like, a lot of those speculative assets basically only have value because we believe in them again, right? Oftentimes, shares of companies do, in theory, have a value based on, like, the money that the company makes and the assets that they own and whatever. There's theoretically some value to the company, and the total value of the company is divided among the shares. But once people start trading them, it can easily happen that the stock prices significantly go up while the actual, like, physical assets of the company and their revenue remain pretty much the same. Just because the investors are feeling very positive about it or something. And so stock price can actually decouple from the sort of actual value of a company. So those are also just, like, it's just made up numbers that people play around with, and for some reason that is the basis upon which we basically build our entire society, which is, on the one hand, kind of ludicrous, on the other hand, it's kind of fascinating, like, that, like, human beings are capable of organizing like, large groups with, like, these shared beliefs that make it possible for us to interact at this large of a scale.
Yeah. It's so crazy when you think about it, man. It's like we're literally putting value over some things that aren't even tangible. Like, you can't hold a Bitcoin. You can't hold, you know, your money in your debit account. You can't. And then even the thing that we can hold, which happens to be the cash, like, it's just a fabric, you know, and we're putting so much value into it. I want to ask you a question, you know, being in America, you know, they always say, you know, our dollar is back behind gold. I don't think that's necessarily true anymore. But is that the same with euros over there with you guys? Like, what backs the euro?
I don't think major currencies have been backed by gold in, like,
at the
very least decades, if not centuries. I don't know if the dollar was actually ever backed by gold. That's an interesting question. But it certainly hasn't been recently. I'm fairly confident in that. Because the thing is, right, the currency has its value because we ascribe value to it. There's a central bank that can print more money. And we basically trust in that central bank not to print too much money to devalue it. And obviously some money gets lost here and there, right? So it's not like they're just printing more money, but they are obviously overall, I think, printing more money than gets lost or gets destroyed, and that's also, I guess, part of what drives inflation.
You want me to tell you something that's crazy? I used to work for what would you call it? Like a recyclable plant. The FBI would literally bring pallets of 50, hundreds, 20, $1 and $5 bills and just shred them because they were out of date. You know what I mean? That is literally you could walk out. No, literal actual dollars. You could go outside. I could take you there right now. You go out there, pick up a handful of dirt, you'll see shredded money. And it's like, you're right, they're just printing something. But it does bring up inflation, and then it takes down the value of it because, like they said, with our government giving Ukraine, billions, if not trillions of dollars, I think it was. They were like, oh, you could have given every American $1 million and you still would have had enough. Yeah, but then that brings the value of the dollar down,
So a lot of the stuff that was given to Ukraine was either old military inventory, or they basically gave them weapons that were then manufactured in the US, right? So there is some money that went to Ukraine, but a lot of it is just like material, right? It's like old military equipment that they were probably going to throw away anyways, and then military equipment that is specifically manufactured for that conflict, manufactured in America, so most of the actual money behind it stays in the US. It's just that the goods end up leaving.
When you say that we actually sent money to Ukraine, are we talking physical cash?
Well, no. I guess we're talking wire transfers or whatever.
So it'd be digital.
I mean, yeah. Most international monetary interactions are, right? Like, I mean, physical money is mostly just used, again, like for like a mom and pop shop or like a garage sale or something like. Or I mean, supermarkets. Yes, you can definitely use cash in supermarkets. I do, but.
Again, I'm just asking this. So if we sent money there, I'd say multiple millions. Okay, if it wasn't sent in cash, and if it was sent digitally, I mean, what service did they use? Did they say, "Hey, what's your PayPal, Prime Minister?" Or how would they do it?
So there is an international banking system based in Switzerland whose name escapes me at the moment. There was a whole thing at the beginning of the Ukraine war where they were gonna potentially exclude Russia from it. SWIFT. Right, so SWIFT is how banks send money between each other.
Right.
And then, it is basically a wire transfer, right? So
a wire. I figured that it'd be a wire transfer. Like people with illegal operations here, and they wanted to launder money, they would send a wire transfer to like Swiss offshore Swiss accounts or stuff like that. So
it's the same principle. It's just like insanely high amounts of money, right? I mean, that I guess that's the other thing. That's probably not really that relevant to the topic, but like the amount of money that governments handle is like mind-boggling, right? You're talking about like hundreds of millions and like humanitarian aid to Ukraine and like whatever military aid is being sent as well. Although again, most of that isn't in money directly, but more so in goods. And you look at it, and people are like, "Oh my God, there's so much money," and then you look at the U.S. budget being literally trillions of dollars. And they're sending, again, I think in the 100 millions, maybe, I think overall in the double-digit billions is like, I think the biggest individual package was like 55 billion or something. There were a couple that were around 20 billion. So I think in total it probably is like 200 billion maybe that the US has sent to Ukraine. I don't have any numbers in front of me, but that's what I would suspect, right? And then that is over the course of the last, 3 years?
See,
so
that even
the US budget is like literally trillions. So like, comparatively speaking, that's nothing.
No, it's nothing. And it's so crazy you say that, dude, because, again, going back to cash, if they're wiring billions, if not trillions of dollars, like, okay, then where do you withdraw that from? You go to your bank, you withdraw from your... What I'm saying is if one country transfers $1 trillion to another country, a wire, which is all digital, at some point, can someone go to that $1 trillion that was transferred to the other country? Can they pull out? Hey, I just need to pull out a quick 200,000 in cash. Do you think that can be done?
I think there might be maximum withdrawals for like traditional banks. I think,
dude, I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've seen someone go into the bank and pull out about $260,000.
Yeah, I mean that's very possible. I mean, that's obviously again, the more it gets, the less likely it is that a single bank can just provide that. But if you're looking at like, I want to withdraw like $1 billion, chances are your local bank is probably not going to have that.
It's not going to have that. Yeah, of course not.
And then obviously, if we're talking about countries, we're oftentimes talking about the central bank, right? So Ukrainian central bank or whatever, the Federal Reserve, right? Like those probably have like larger like physical currency caches as well than like a more like a normal consumer bank. But I think most of that money will never be withdrawn, right? Because the point isn't for them to like withdraw the money and like run to a local business and buy something, right? They're just gonna wire it to somewhere else to buy food from it or something, or like for like or whatever, right? Like whatever it is, right? I mean the non-military aid, right? We're talking. I mean, I guess government budget, right? I think the Ukrainian government budget, like the non-military expenditures, I think would mostly be covered by the US, right? So like whatever they do on like contracts, right? Like building contracts or whatever. But those are all like none of that is handling cash, I would assume.
Right. So how would they pay with that? We give them the money, and Ukraine say, "Hey, we need to get 14 tanks." Does one person pull out the phone and say, "Hey, here's the money that US sent us," and say, "Hey, what's your PayPal?" Like, how is that done? Is it all through wire transfers? You know,
I would assume most of it is, right. So
that's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't actually know entirely like the exact details of how governments specifically do it, because again, you're not gonna go to your local consumer bank and be like, "Hey, we want to send some money," right? That is sometimes handled by like the country's monetary institutions. I don't know that much about how those work, but I think the principle is pretty much the same as with a regular bank, right? If you wanted to send me money, I could give you my IBAN number, right? Like my international bank account number. And you could just wire me the money, right? Like that is a possibility. And
but you're talking person to person. I'm talking country to country, and we're talking.
But
go ahead.
A country still has bank accounts, right? I mean, they probably have multiple for like different purposes and whatnot, but they also have bank accounts in a sense.
So, wow. So Ukraine as a country has a bank account, and I'm literally asking questions because I do not know. Like.
I mean, we're getting like, at the edge of my knowledge, but I would assume that they have some degree of bank account. Again, at that point, we're probably not talking about a regular bank. We're probably talking about the central bank of the country will probably have an account for that country where they keep track of how much money the country has, essentially. I don't know entirely how that works. I'll be honest.
Even my knowledge and that's why I'm asking. I don't know. So I mean, that's way above my pay grade. But let me ask you: Have you seen Russia is suing Google? Have you seen that?
Yes. For literally more money than there is in the world.
How is that even possible?
So apparently, under whatever law they're suing in Russia, there is a standard where if you don't pay your fines, it gets doubled every day, and if you know anything about how exponential growth works, you'll realize that goes by insanely quickly. And so, because there was still litigation over the payment, and I guess the fee wasn't frozen, over the years, like that just has ballooned. I mean, there's a whole thing, right, where like, if you put like on a chessboard, you put like one grain of rice on the first square and 2 on the next, and so on and so forth. Like, there's literally, again, more rice than there is in the world on the last square, despite the fact that a chessboard isn't that big, because exponential growth is just so insane.
Right. I mean, so how do they like? It almost makes me think this is it's like a troll. It's like, how do you pay that? You know, do you settle out of court? You know, is it the country of Russia versus the country of Russia versus Google? Like, how does this work on a court level?
I mean, yeah, it's Russia v. Google, basically. I don't know what the exact caption is. So traditionally, I think it depends a little bit. I don't know. I think in the US, for example, a lot of cases, depending on what kind of cases they are, won't have like US versus. They'll have like the name of the attorney general or the name of the agency head of the relevant agency or something at the top of the thing. So you have like, so you don't have like US versus. You have like Garland versus. But I mean, whatever it ends up being, I think US versus might be for criminal cases. Again, we're like reaching the edge of my expertise here. But I mean, you will oftentimes have the attorney general's name at the top of when the US is suing someone, for example. But the principle is still the same, right? It is effectively the country suing a company. That happens all the time, by the way. The FTC also. I mean, I guess the FTC is not the US as the country. It's the FTC versus, right? That happens all the time, right? If the Federal Trade Commission, if they have, like, if you have unfair business practices, monopolistic behavior or something, they will sue. And so oftentimes also what I found interesting, if, for example, you have an illegal monopoly, the FTC might sue you civilly. Which I found really weird. The fact that the idea that the government... Yeah, no, it's not a criminal suit. I mean...
Really?
There can, I think, be criminal suits, but like if an agency goes after you for something, it's generally, I believe, civil suits. Which I thought was really weird when I first found out about that. But yeah, no, that's like normal, apparently.
How does that work? What? That's interesting. Wow, I didn't know that. Huh.
I mean, on some level, it makes sense, right? Because, I mean, first of all, if it's criminal, you probably would have to go through actual like criminal prosecutors, right? So the FTC probably doesn't have prosecutors.
Would have to have so prosecutors, lawyers. Yeah.
So they would have to go to the DOJ or whatever, and they would then have to sue. So that's like a bigger process. And also, obviously, the standard for criminal liability is a lot higher than for civil liability, right? So it's also just a lot easier to win in that sense, right? And so obviously that limits, I think, the remedies that are available. Although I'm again not entirely sure about that because private cause of action can be used to also like cease and desist behavior and whatnot. So like they're.
So let me ask you this: and if you had to take a guess, how does the Russia versus Google thing end? With all that money going around, how does it end? Does it end in like, all right, we'll settle for this, or how does that end? You think? Literally, that's more money than there is on Earth.
I don't know what the actual underlying issue was in its entirety, but I would assume that either there's like some sort of agreement reached between the two parties, or Google might just completely withdraw from the Russian market. That is also a possibility, right? Because if you're not doing business in Russia, if you don't have a Russian subsidiary, like what are they going to do, right? So that's, I mean,
you want me to...
and it's been, by the way, not necessarily an illegitimate thing because sometimes countries will also kick out companies, right? They'll be like, if you know, I mean, Brazil was kicking out Twitter, right? They were like, hey, if you don't adhere to our court orders,
then
we're just going to shut you down in Brazil. Now, that ended up being
North Korea, right?
I think. I mean, I don't know that any companies are even trying to operate there, really. But, I mean, yeah, obviously the internet is basically inaccessible over there. I think there's, like, one single Steam user in North Korea, which makes me suspect it might be Kim Jong-un. I don't know that, though. But, yeah, no, North Korea has, like, basically no internet. There was a story recently where there was a claim supposedly coming from, someone in the know, as media sources tend to be, that the North Korean soldiers that are fighting in Russia, in Russia, have internet access for the first time, and apparently they've really gotten into internet porn, so, that...
Wow, that's
the obvious
crazy
thing that you would expect to happen. Now, granted, there was also a recent story about an uncontacted tribe getting in there for the first time, and they also supposedly were, like, addicted to porn, and then later it turned out that it was highly exaggerated, so I can't speak to the veracity of those claims. But...
It is. There is more porn on the internet than anything else. There's more porn on.
They used to say the internet is for porn and cat pictures. So my conclusion was that the internet is for pussy.
That's a good one. I like that one.
But yeah, no, I mean, I guess it's not necessarily true anymore because the internet is becoming more ubiquitous as well. I mean, as we talked about, right? Like a lot of your banking is probably happening over the internet. I mean, I think even the little like hardware terminals in a supermarket, I think might be internet connected. So I think they might also actually go over the internet. I don't think they have a customer.
Well, everything. I mean, are us speaking right now? You're checking my bank account. It's all done, through an internet or some form of the internet. What I wanted to we were talking about the Russia and just Russia. I asked you how the Russia Google thing could end out. Um, I don't know if you've noticed this, but God, this is your YouTube channel, so I feel safe saying this. But almost every single reaction we have put out, I mean, I will say probably 80% has been blocked by two countries, Russia and Belarus.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I'm wondering if that has something to do with it.
I don't know that to be the case. So if YouTube was unavailable in Russia, it would just be unavailable, right? It wouldn't be like, this video is unavailable in Russia because there's a song in it. I'm assuming that has something to do with music rights, right? Because generally the music rights are sold separately in different countries, and so there might just be that, like, UMG or whatever has no deal with Russia, and therefore they aren't allowed to be, like, reproduced in Russia or something like that. There's probably something like that. But yeah, no, it's Belarus and Russia lately. For a while there was also, I think, was it it used to be like Syria and North Korea as well as sometimes, I think.
Syria and North Korea, yeah. Which I haven't seen much of Syria and North Korea lately. But Russia and Belarus, I'm like, what is going on, dude? And I had a podcast it started happening.
I had a podcast recently where the Song of the Week segment was just unavailable in Russia, and I was like, huh? Like it was a lot of Russia and Belarus, right? It's usually both.
Wait, it was only available in Russia?
No, only unavailable in Russia. So it.
Oh, okay.
So most songs in the Song of the Week segment will either, like, not be detected or be fine everywhere, or be blocked in Belarus and Russia. But every now and again, there is one song, I think it might have even been on the same box, there was one song that was just Russia and one that was Belarus and Russia, right? So it's like, huh? Why is this one blocked? Not blocked in Belarus, right? Like, so there must be a separate deal with Belarus for, some music label that doesn't exist, like, that has a deal with Belarus but none with Russia, which seems random and arbitrary, especially because, Belarus is barely a sovereign state and basically just Russian puppet to begin with. So, the union state, as it were. And that's an actual legal entity. There is a union state of Belarus and Russia. That's like an actual legal entity.
And you're right. I think it may be exclusively just for music because, like, again, I'm a huge MMA fan. The UFC have a UFC America page, which is just UFC. Then they have UFC Russia, UFC South Africa, UFC China, and they post everything over there. So it's like it might just be music, which is. Yeah. Man, why does music? You would wait a minute. Hold on. Let's think about this for a second. A label is saying, you know what? Those words to a beat. We can't have our people in Russia listen to that, but we can watch someone get beat in the face with elbows. That's totally fine. But words are blocked, but not violence.
No. That's not what that is. It's licensing, right? Like, the labels want to get paid if people listen to their songs. Or songs. Right. And if, like, in Russia, they don't get paid for the videos, right? If maybe it's just that, like, videos can't be monetized in Russia and therefore they don't want to run them there. Maybe, I don't know if YouTube has different subsidiaries. I don't know what the exact rules are, but there is a thing where, like, sometimes YouTube will only have the rights to reproduce songs in certain countries, right? And so, and again, it's basically never, I mean, maybe the North Korea stuff, but it's basically never about, like, censorship in this case. That's usually, when, like, a song gets claimed, that's almost always about money. It's always about licensing money. And so the same thing might happen with movies as well, with, like, movie clips or TV clips or something, but, I mean, neither of our channels will use this, though, so I can't really speak to that as well. But, obviously, if you use a longer clip from a movie, it'll almost certainly get claimed. I mean, those you generally also can't show at all on YouTube, so maybe that moots it.
But why, though? Why is it... I get the labels need to get paid. I understand that. They want to get paid for the music that they're producing or putting out. I understand that. But why that particular country is like, you know what? We don't want anything to do with that. And, again, coming back to MMA, I don't know if you know who Khabib Nurmagomedov is. Do you know who Khabib is?
No.
He's a Okay, one of the best MMA fighters of all time. So he's a Russian Muslim, and they said, "Hey, what do you think of?" They asked him There was 5 romantic movies. It was like Love Hurts, Never Been Kissed, and he's like, "In my country, we don't watch this because it makes your heart soft. Too much lovey movies will make you feel." And you brought up movies. Khabib looked at it in a sense like it's watching these kind of things, listening to these kind of things is eventually going to turn your heart soft. When we really need you to be, like, get up, let's go, And it's like, is that the Russian thinking behind it? Is like, hey, music can brainwash you. I don't want to. Brainwash may not be the right word, but it can make you feel a certain way that we may not want our people of our country to feel. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's the case. Again, I think this is about licensing. I think like the labels will have a license with YouTube where YouTube pays them for every view, and they'll probably pay them different amounts per country or something, or they'll just get the ad revenue or something. And then for some reason they couldn't get an agreement with Russia. Maybe YouTube isn't showing ads in Russia. Maybe there are fewer ads in Russia because businesses are boycotting Russia. And so there probably just isn't enough money in the Russian market at the moment for YouTube to pay the labels an amount that labels are happy with. So labels are saying, don't show it in Russia. So it's not that Russia is saying don't show it. It's generally saying the labels are saying don't show it because they're not getting adequately compensated for it. Or what they see as adequate, rather.
And you kind of circling back to, with cash going obsolete or, not useful anymore. Think about it. Like right here, if this video got 1 million views, you're going to get paid from that. You're going to get paid. Nope. YouTube is going to pay you. Okay, maybe not your channel. I get the 1,000 subscribers. I get all that. But well, you also, what I'm saying is let's say you had over 1,000 videos, you made a video and it gave you 1 million views.
The main channel is monetized, but the one that this video is on is not. And that's the unfortunate thing, right? For like the people that go viral, because by the time they meet the requirements for monetization, most of the views that the viral video is getting are already there. And you're almost never going to go viral twice. So it's basically impossible to actually make money out of like a single viral video. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but where I'm going is just by you posting a digital clip, YouTube as a company is going to pay you in digital money to a digital account, which then in turn, I guess you could pull out cash, but it's all through, it's almost everything is just in the cloud now. Everything is just digital. You know what I mean? It's really getting weird if you think about it, dude.
Yes, it is, right? That's what I said earlier about like how there's nothing tangible about this really. But I mean, the logic still holds up, right? There is a company that wants to advertise a product. They have money, and again, that money is in a bank account, but they could theoretically withdraw it, right? That is real money, right? In as real as money gets. They then give that money to Google AdSense to show their particular video clip generally, or like a banner ad or something, like a certain amount of times. And then Google AdSense gives most of the money, I would assume, to YouTube, if it gets shown on YouTube. Yeah. Technically separate businesses, even though they both are Google. So I could actually see, by the way, the whole like, YouTube has a very favorable split, giving you 55% of the revenue. It's very possible that they skim off the top on the AdSense side of things. But that's, again, neither here nor there. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it's more costly to run an ad than it is the money you get per ad. So like, it definitely takes some money out of Google as well. But anyways, not the point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then YouTube gives you 55% of the money of the ads that ran on your video. It actually, and it gets even weirder, they basically like note that in Ledger somewhere, and once you get up to $100, or at the end of the month, they then pay you out. I think it's monthly if you do make more money, and if you don't make enough money. So the main channel that was monetized for a while, and they had never made $100 a month, not even close. But every couple of months we get $100, and actually ends up being more like 80 some euros because the conversion rate wasn't very favorable at the time. But actually, I don't recall what the exact. I think there's also like different thresholds for AdSense payouts, like YouTube payouts, whatever. The point is, there's like some threshold, and then they pay you, right? So, that means also if you have a YouTube channel that is monetized, and you make like $90, and no one ever watches your videos again, or like you decide to demonetize them or whatever, you're never getting the money. So that's also not really real money in any sense. Which is
that's so
also
crazy,
weird.
Man. Yeah, dude. I mean, we could talk about this for hours, man. It's a rabbit hole that
Yeah,
we could definitely go down
I do
for.
want to like
Mm,
quickly mention one anecdote that's just kind of funny to me.
Yeah,
They used
yeah,
to have even easier monetization requirements, and we were really happy when the channel got monetized. And like I think like a couple days after we were monetized, they announced a new policy, and it was going into effect immediately, but it was going into effect in like a month or two. And I think we made like I want to say like $1.40 in AdSense until the channel was demonetized again.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I think
It.
that still remained like attached to the account. So by the time we got
Mm-hmm.
remonetized, we did technically at the end of the day did get that money. But it's just kind of funny where like under the old criteria, you could literally like get a channel monetized that was making
Yeah.
like maybe like 10 cents a day, if even that. Which just is also kind of
Yeah.
like I get why people want to get it monetized no matter how little they make, but also like you gotta wait a long time for a first payout if you stay at that rate.
Yeah. I don't want to put our business out too much, but when we got monetized and we didn't know, or oh, hell, I didn't know. I was like, wow, and then I was like, wait, what is this? And checked it out, and I was like, holy crap, there's money here, and pulled it out, and it was like, but music reaction channels don't make much at all
Yeah,
because
because most videos can't be
98
monetized.
are copyrighted. Yeah, you're not making anything. But either way, dude, again, it's something not tangible. It's something that we're speaking into a microphone, listening to music, talking to one another, and we're getting paid by literally a cloud
Oh yeah,
almost.
that's the
You
other
know?
thing. Why the podcast can't be monetized because we have music in it, right? So that's in some ways an
Yeah.
intentional decision I made. But even the like 20 to 25 second song of the week clips are totally sufficient to get the video
They
claimed. I would
yeah.
argue that the song of the week segment, as it is practiced, is fair use. I would even argue that probably Hurdle Decades, which we're gonna play real soon because it's been going for like way too
Oh,
long.
do they copyright you for that? Do they copyright
Yep.
you for Hurdle?
Both
Wow.
Hurdle
Yeah,
songs of the week.
I get the song of the week. I get that. But Hurdle, that well, I guess yeah, I think it's anything over 10 seconds, maybe 15
I don't
seconds.
know what the limit is, but yeah, the clip that like if you listen to the whole segment on Hurdle is almost 15 seconds, right? So that's like
Yeah.
relatively substantive. I mean, again, I would argue that that's like it's a transformative use. It's for a different purpose. It is not a
Hmm.
very substantive use. I mean, I said it was substantive just now, but from like a YouTube copyright standpoint, like I think
Right,
from like
right,
a
right.
fair use standpoint, I don't think it's a particularly substantive use. It uses a small portion of the song. Again, as I think I already mentioned a different purpose. It doesn't displace the market of the original work. Um,
Hmm.
so I would argue, and Song of the Week segment is arguably critique, right? Because we are
Yeah, it's
recommending
critique.
songs. So
Exactly.
so that should arguably be fair use per se. And then Hurdle is a bit more complicated because games are not in fair use. But again, right?
Right.
It's a published work. It is a minimal use. It's a transformative use, and it is not a market
Hmm.
substitute. So I think
Right.
I mean okay the published thing I'm kind of it's a creative work, which kind of goes against it. But so like the nature of the work is neutral, I would argue, and the other three would favor in towards fair use. So I would argue the fair use analysis does favor us, but also like actually disputing claims on YouTube is just like not very practical. Also,
Yeah.
again, they're not
I
gonna get
totally.
monetized anyway, so it doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah, and we're a freaking microorganism in this bowl of YouTube. Like we're speck. You know what I mean? And I totally agree. It should be under the fair use act, but at the same time, dude, I get it from a business standpoint. But as an artist, as a label, I would think you would want people to react. Like, hey, put show it to the world, but at least give the person that's kind of shouting you out. If you're making 100, bro, at least give me a penny. A penny just for putting more people on your music. You know what I mean?
I think that is theoretically an option. I believe if when you copyright claim a video on YouTube, I believe you can set up revenue sharing, where the creator still gets a portion of the share, and the
It
claimant gets the
depends.
rest. No, it is. I believe it is possible to do that. It's just that most publishers choose not to, right? And again, I would argue. I don't know exactly about your videos because the fair use analysis gets a little bit more complicated because the portion of the song used is usually the entire song, so that factor
Yeah.
would go against you. I would argue it still is transformative, and because it's not about like hey, listen to the music I made, right? It's about, hey, listen to my opinion about the song. And the song is incidental. And also, in terms of portion use, I guess, technically, the wording isn't using a small portion, it is only using the amount necessary for the purpose, right? So for critique, it makes sense to say that you would want to use, at the very least, most of the song to get the idea across. And so it's transformative. The portion thing is up to interpretation. And what was the other one I said? Right, it's on a market substitute, right? Because no one wants to, like, if you're like, oh, well, yeah, I want to listen to that song again, you're not going to listen to the version where people are yapping for 10 minutes in between the song, right? That's just not practical. So I would argue, and again, it's arguably a review, which is one of the enumerated examples for copyright, for fair use anyway, so it should technically be fair use, but you're going to dispute it, they're just going to deny the dispute, because the dispute just gets passed on to the copyright holder, they're going to say nope. And then your only recourse basically is to sue them. I mean, I think technically...
Which you're not going to win.
Well, actually, again, yes, it should be fair use, but the problem is the lawyer's costs are gonna probably exceed whatever revenue you could
100, whatever you're gonna make. Yeah,
so it's not that you're gonna lose, it's just that it's literally not worth it.
Yeah, and that's what I like about what me and Smokey do, man. It's like, yes, we just want to give our honest opinion to good music, but you know what? We're getting off topic. Let's move on, Jeff. Let's get
Fact of the week. What is your fact of the week?
All right, this was an interesting one that I saw. So, strange but true. There are 12 times more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way. When I read that, I was like, there's no way. So there are 12 times more trees on Earth than there are stars in the Milky Way. Scientists estimate that there are between 200 and 400 billion stars in our galaxy, while there are an estimated 1 trillion trees on Earth. Like the stars, trees live a long time and are truly important for life. So that right there just threw me off. Like, dude, because when we mention what it brings me to those, I'm sure you've seen that YouTube shorts or Instagram shorts. Well, they'll like zoom in and or zoom out, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you're like, God dang, we're like this compared to just the sun, and that's 1 star. We got 12 times that than the Milky Way of trees. I'm like, wow, that's crazy, dude. And whoever thought to do the math on that, salute to you, dude.
Yeah, I guess the Milky Way star count seems about right to me, right? Like that intuitively, like I don't have any problem with that, right? The double-digit billion thing figure. The trees is what surprises me, but then you think about it, right? And like Earth is huge. You don't think about that, but like Earth is huge.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then you also have to think, what is the definition of a tree? I mean, is a seed considered, it eventually grows into a tree? You know what I mean? Like, is a fruit hanging off of a tree that eventually turns into a tree? Is that considered eventually a baby tree? You know what I mean?
So that's the pro-life interpretation of trees? But no, I mean,
Lord.
I mean, it basically is, right? Life begins at apple.
Yes, JJ.
No, okay, so I would argue if the scientific analysis of trees is probably like whenever it has like both roots and like an above ground part. I think that's probably how I would define it, right? Like once it has grown out of the ground and is also in the ground, that's probably a tree.
I'm gonna have to teach you what sarcasm is after we're done with this, but go ahead. That was a joke, dude, obviously.
Honestly, with you, that's sometimes hard to tell. You do sometimes bring like what I would consider like fairly out there philosophical arguments, like what even is a tree? Like when does does a seed start becoming a tree, right? It's like,
come on, dude. You know what I mean? I figured that would come off as sarcasm, but anyway, go ahead.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, it's Earth is huge, right? I mean, if you think like you probably wouldn't want to walk from one end of Atlanta to the other, right? Because that's quite far. And Atlanta is one city in Georgia. Georgia is one state in the U.S. The U.S. is one country in the world, right? And so it kind of, I mean, obviously, it's still one of the bigger ones. I think it's the third biggest by area, but the country. But yeah, I mean, if you think about that, it's crazy, right? Like Alaska is more than twice the size of Texas, right? Like the world is big.
The world is huge, dude. Man, that's so crazy when you think about it.
And I guess most of it is okay, that's not true. Most of it is water, but like I think a good chunk of it is forest, right? Like if you think, I mean, especially before we started building everywhere. I mean, yeah, there's just some deserts here and there, but like
deserts, Arctic areas, you got suburban areas. Even then, man, but you're right. Earth is huge.
Yeah, but if you think about it, right, in temperate zones, there's like a lot of forest. In the hotter zones, there's still like there's jungles and whatnot. And then if you go to the colder zones, there's still a lot of like just other types of trees, right? There's I forget what the exact terminology is, right? Like needle trees.
Yeah, I get where you're going. Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's just like it checks out when you think about it, right? Like there ain't anyone living in Siberia, well, like there are, but like it's like it's not very densely populated, so it's probably a lot of trees, right? There's barely anyone living in Canada, like in terms of like the actual area. So that's probably a lot of trees. Like I don't know how far north you can go and there still are trees, but there certainly will be trees in a good chunk of that, right? Like Alaska as well, very sparsely populated, lots of forest.
Lots of forest.
In fact, like if I look out of I think any window in this house, I'll probably see a tree. Right, so that
I mean, I'm looking at one right now. As a matter of fact,
I mean, you know,
actually 3.
Right, so it's like it intuitively does make sense. But if you just think of like, oh yeah, there's a forest there and there's forest there. I mean, I guess it's the same forest. It's just like the road goes up the forest, right? But like so there's forest on both sides of the street. And if you start counting, that's a lot of trees, right? There's probably a couple hundred trees just within my sight.
Yeah,
and that's not very far.
Just reading the headline that I saw there, I was like, crazy. What? But yeah, it's crazy, dude.
For those sort of things.
But if you think about it, God, it's still hard to wrap your brain around it, though, man.
Yeah, no, it's just something I like to do with these kind of facts sometimes, where it's like this number sounds crazy, but when you think about it and you break it down, it actually somehow ends up making sense.
Yeah, you're right.
Speaking of things that there are a lot of, apparently, fries at Five Guys. So Five Guys, obviously, burger chain or something, and they apparently...
You don't have Five Guys there?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And they, their business model is kind of interesting because they differ apparently from other fast food restaurants. They have a very specific standards by which they make their fries. And... apparently, they intentionally put some extra fries in your bags so that it seemed like your fries were overflowing, so that you feel like you got more than what you ordered, essentially, and you're left a happy customer. And this is just standard business practice for them, and apparently it works, right? So it's quite clever.
Yes.
And
yeah,
I guess in some sense it's the same whenever you buy a product and it's like, plus 10% extra. It's like, well, yeah, it's probably also 10% more expensive.
So what's the fact here?
The fact is that Five Guys, as part of the business model, puts extra fries in their orders to make
you think that you're getting more.
Like you're getting more than you paid for, basically. Even though, in essence, it's baked into the price, so you're getting exactly what you paid for. But it's just a way they trick their customers into being more satisfied.
Yeah, that's actually a business. I actually saw Elon Musk say this. He said, if you notice, like if you go to most urban areas, you know, if you see a Coke vending machine, there's usually a Pepsi vending machine directly next to it. And it's a business model to where Coke says, hey, if there's just one single standing Coke, your thought process is, hey, do I want a Coke? But then when you see one directly next to it, it's like, okay, do I want Coke? Instead of you thinking, do I want one? Okay, which one do I want? You're wanting to buy it now. I mean, man, you're missing out on Five Guys. I ain't gonna lie though, dude. First of all, when you walk into Five Guys, they have bags and bags and bags and bags or not even bags, sacks of potatoes just right there. Not only that, there's free complimentary peanuts. While you're waiting in line, you can just eat the peanuts right there. But when you get them, dude, like you order your burger and then they just like, I mean, dude, my favorite thing from Big Five Guys is the lettuce wrap bacon burger. So it's just a lettuce wrap bacon burger, and you get your French fries. But dude, they fill it up so much. It's like you're having to eat the fries before you even get to the burger. And then when you get to the burger, there's your fries, and then fries under. It's like, God, if that is it's a brilliant business model. If you think about it, it's brilliant.
I mean, there's a lot of those things.
I might
right?
give Five Guys a night.
Alex had an interesting thing as a fact of the week recently as well, where he said, as a fact of the week, where it's like, if you go to a movie theater, and on the way, you lose $10 out of your wallet, it's not going to change anything, right? You're still going to buy your ticket and you're going to go to see the movie. But if you bought a movie ticket for $10, and you lose the ticket on the way, you will feel very reticent to buy another ticket.
Yes, cool. That's a good one, actually.
It's also another thing where it's just like, value-wise, it makes no difference. But you just think about it differently. Yeah. And it's the same thing for, like, again, right, like, Five Guys could just charge you for a bigger, like, container of fries, right? They could just put them all in, like, a container that looks like it can fit them all, and you would probably be less happy about the same amount of fries.
Yeah. And no one eats them. After three handfuls of fries, you're like, all right, I'm full. I don't even want it anymore.
Yeah, but you still feel like you got
brilliant business.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Which brings us to our halftime show. Finally, it's been long enough. Probably more than half the time.
Oh man.
Whatever.
Yes.
And that is Turtle Decades, and we're starting, of course, with the 60s.
Copyright starts now.
Almost sounds like La Bamba, but then I think it is newer.
Oh, la 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 Bamba. I don't think that's the 60s, though, is it?
Yeah, no, that's what I think it's newer. Okay. I think it's just one of those things where, like, it's just like, you know, it has a sort of like Latin feel to it a little bit. Actually, maybe not even as Latin, but yeah, no. It's still. I'm assuming you don't know it yet.
No.
I mean, I want to say early 60s, like, you know, pre-Beatles, but that's not helpful.
Wait. Oh, maybe the Beach Boys?
Well, I mean, we have options. Listed currently are Shut Down, Surfer Girl, Do It Again, Barbara Ann, Sloop John B, I Get Around, Surfing USA, which is not, Surfing Safari, God Only Knows, and Help Me Rhonda.
Oh, it's definitely not Help Me Rhonda. Definitely not Surfing USA. It's God dang it. Can we? If I say try Shut Down, does that take away one of our guesses or?
I mean, yes, but if we skip, it also takes one of our guesses, right? So we might as well guess.
Let's just do it. Let's go for it. Shut down the Beach.
Submit and no.
You tell me that you love me, baby, then you say.
Maybe I'll take the Beach Boys back. Maybe tell me that you love me. Maybe just let's see what happens there. Tell me that you love me, baby.
No. Let's see. Tell me you know. There's nothing there. You love me. That doesn't make sense as a. Well, I mean, we have "Will You Love Me Tomorrow" by the Shirelles. "I Love How You Love Me" by the Paris Sisters. "Do You Love Me" by Brian Poole and.
Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me?
And those are the only ones that actually have that without any.
Yeah.
Oh no, there is still "I'm Gonna Make You Love Me" by Diana Ross and the Supremes and the Temptations. God damn it! How many artists do you need for that? But yeah, no, I doubt it's that. But I don't know. Do any of those ring a bell? Do any of those like seem?
No, they don't.
Relevant to you. So let's just skip to the final guess.
Tell me that you love me, baby, then you say you don't. You tell me that you'll come on over.
I have no idea, dude.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I have no idea.
Also, I did spread this information earlier. It's obviously 17 seconds because 15 seconds would be the total amount of skips, and there's 2 seconds at the beginning as well. But that's not really speaking of, let's just skip, and it's Cliff Richard and the Shadows with "Please Don't Tease."
Whoever Cliff Richards is, shout out to him.
I mean, Cliff Richard is a name that I've heard before, but
You ain't never heard of Cliff Richards in your life. Quit lying.
I have heard of him.
Sarcasm.
Couldn't pinpoint any songs.
Oh, I don't know what that is, but that sounds hard.
Huh. Yeah, I don't.
Damn, that was that.
Yeah, I think
Enough with.
Want to hear some more to
Go ahead.
Make up my.
Yeah. Let's skip it. This is 70s, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So when did The Exorcist come out? That was later, right? But I mean, I guess the song could be older.
Yeah.
Because
I would probably.
Could it be Tubular Bells? The Exorcist theme? I think it was The Exorcist.
Nah. What I
mean, Tubular Bells by Michael Oldfield. It is in there.
Try it. Hey, try it. To me, it sounds like a Zeppelin song. If I'm being honest.
It was also just wrong. I just somewhere I had like I actually only heard about it recently, but I think there's a radio show that also uses the same song, and I was like, I think it could have been that, but yeah, no. Also, weirdly, apparently the only Mike Oldfield song that ever charted in the US.
Really?
Yeah. Which, like, in my mind, it's always Two France. It's his biggest song, or like, or what is it, Moonlight Shadow or something like that. But like, I don't know, Tubular Bells. Apparently.
I want to hear more of this. I'm sorry, but this song is very intriguing to me. I'm wanting to hear. Yeah. Hey, bro, that's hard. I might sample that.
I mean, first we have to figure out what that song is, and if you don't have any idea, I guess we're just gonna have to skip again.
I'm feeling for some reason Led Zeppelin, but let's skip. Let's do one skip. Let's do one. See, okay, what
the options? Kashmir, Black Dog, Rock and Roll, Immigrant Song, Hold On Love, Stairway to Heaven, In My Time of Dying, When the Levee Breaks, and The Song Remains the Same.
None of those.
I mean, I think
the song remains the same.
Three of those, but yeah, it's none of the ones that I would recognize.
Yeah.
I guess we'll skip.
Let's see. Damn. That shit's hard. I don't know what it is, but that shit's riding. It might be the Eagles, actually.
Well, actually, it's just Eagles. It's not the Eagles.
Oh my God, Lord. Well, no, actually,
it's just.
I know it is Eagles.
If I had typed in the Eagles, like most of this wouldn't have come up. Lion Eyes, Witchy Woman, Take It Easy, Already Gone, New Kid in Town, Hotel California, Heartache Tonight, The Best of My Love, One of These Nights, Take It to the Limit. I mean, it's not most of those. I mean, just based on how it sounds, I would guess maybe Witchy Woman, but I don't know that one. It's not Take It Easy, it's not New Kid in Town, it's not Hotel California, it's not Heartache Tonight, and it's not Take It to the Limit. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, I would agree with you on all those. I don't know. I'm just throwing names out at this point.
Do you know Witchy Woman, the song?
Try it.
Because it sounds kind of witchy, I would argue. Nah.
Okay.
I mean, it was a stretch, right? We didn't even know it was the right band.
I don't know, though, but that shit's hard.
Yeah, I guess let's listen to the whole thing and see if that helps at all.
Damn, that's fire. Dude, please tell me who this is. I need to know who this is. I'm sampling this.
It's Angelo by Brotherhood of Man.
I've never heard of them, but damn it, I'm about to type that down.
Well, the
All right,
70s
moving
had
on.
some really good stuff. Now let's move on to the 80s, logically. That comes after the 70s.
Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan. That's what the first thing that popped in my head. Shaka Khan.
Either
I
I don't
think
know how
it's
to spell
actually.
it, or...
I think it's CH instead of SH.
Oh, that...
I think it's.
Okay, yeah, so we
Shaka
do have I
Khan?
Feel For You by Shaka Khan, and nothing else.
Just try I Feel For You.
I mean,
just for the hell of it.
No.
No.
Well, it's more of the same.
Yeah. Just your typical generic drum beat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess in 80 cents, I guess it is. There is usually like another, like more like a like that I would think of like as a typical, but yeah, no.
Yeah. That's literally what we just heard. The noise that just came out of your mouth is literally what we just heard. That's literally what we just heard.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking more like, like
go
snare,
ahead.
I guess.
Yeah, what were you?
I guess I was thinking snare, right, specifically, but like it's not like I can make snare noises with my mouth.
Hey, hold on. You mean like like that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. And also, like, I don't think it was optimal because like some of that cut out from I think my like I have a filter on you that's supposed to cut out everything that isn't speaking, which sometimes can
go ahead. I won't do it. I won't do it. They got to give us more than that, JJ. Oh, you got something?
No. I was just intently listening.
Watch it repeat itself. Phil Collins. Phil Collins?
Could be.
Take me home.
Well, we have enough Phil Collins.
Try Take Me Home.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's not the studio and not the air tonight and not You Can't Hurry Love. It is. Wow. I know a lot of Phil Collins songs. Didn't know that one. Okay. Let's move on. Once it loads, there we go, to the 90s. Oh, nope, never mind. Copyright got away. Let's go straight to the 2000s. Or rather, licensing got away.
Yeah.
I don't know that song.
Me neither.
Yeah, that's how I expected that to go.
Same, I don't know, dude. We're just gonna get the same 2 bars repeated.
Well, I mean, there was like a little twang of new instrument joining in, but not much.
It's definitely gonna repeat itself.
Didn't click it fast enough. I was trying to immediately skip it.
Damn. This is usually where this is where usually me and you kind of do a little better, but I have nothing here, bruh.
I mean, in theory, I should do better in some of the earlier ones, but then again, that doesn't always. I'm With You by Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne, wow.
I thought it sounded a little too chill for Avril Lavigne, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I agree. Damn.
I mean, to be fair, like, a lot of artists have range, and sometimes they just aren't as successful as some of the other stuff, although I think these were only charting hits, but, maybe it's just the intro? I have no idea.
Maybe? 2010s.
Oh fuck! I know this one. I think. Come on,
Yeah, I
come
do
on,
too.
turn the radio on. What is that? Friday night and it won't be long.
Run it back one time.
What did I say? Come on, turn the radio on. Friday night and it won't be long.
It won't be long.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. God, who sings that?
I mean, the title would also suffice, but that's probably someone in the chorus, and I can't get that far right now.
I know. Are you skipping?
No, 1 second.
Are you're trying to think? It's right there in our heads. God, who is that?
Cheap Thrills.
I don't even know the title.
It's Cheap Thrills.
Who?
No, the song is called Cheap Thrills, isn't it? Sia with Cheap Thrills.
Sia, yeah.
I did end up getting to the chorus. You know,
I don't think that's it.
always a trick. I think that's it. That's it.
Oh, you got it. Okay. Hey, well, it's 1 for 1. You got one, I got one.
Yeah. No, I'm good with that.
Technically, you got yours quicker than I got mine, but
definitely.
still.
I mean, to be fair, you also recognized it, so you would have probably gotten there eventually. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I would not have gotten that particular Phil Collins song, so...
If you would have gave me one more second, or one more skip, I probably would have got it.
Yeah, because, like, once I had some of the lyrics, I was like, the problem is, the song is never going to get as far from the preview as it is in my head already, so chances are it's not going to help much.
Right.
But yeah, no, I had to literally go in my head until the part came where she says Cheap Thrills. And then I was like, I think that's the title of the song.
Yeah, is it actually Sia or is it Sia? I think it is Sia, actually.
I think it's Sia, but I don't know.
I think it is Sia. I think so.
The problem is, right, vowel realization in English is quite unusual. So a lot of languages that are like not even that closely related pronounce the vowels fairly similarly. So if you have like Spanish or German, I think a lot of the vowels are fairly close. Maybe not identical, but like close. Some of the French ones are pretty close to the German ones as well. Now obviously like U is different, but we also have an U in German. It's just not the same letter. And so I tend to this more like sort of like generic European pronunciation sometimes, or in essence a German pronunciation, when I don't know how to pronounce something at all. So I would probably have also defaulted to Sia, but I believe I've also heard it said before.
Yeah.
Then again, it might have been on German radio, so they might have also just said it wrong.
The pronunciation was probably wrong. But either way, Sia, we know who we're talking about.
Yes. Okay, that was that. We had to go with that, and that actually brings us to our final topic, closing it out with the icebreaker / would you rather cards.
Absolutely. We'll do 3 of these, JJ. You ready for your first one?
Yes.
Again, I'm just pulling out of the blue. This came out of the blue. I'll pull another one. Actually, I kind of like this question, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
You know what? All right. No,
I don't care one way or the other. Like, I just asked me an interesting question.
All right. What's on your bucket list of things to do during your life?
Shit. You know, like, whenever people start talking about bucket list, like, I'm like...
These are the hardest questions for you.
Yeah, no, it's... You know, I'm a bit aimless, right? I don't have any, like, big goals. I mean, I guess there are certainly things that I want to do, but I mean, it's a lot of, like, oh yeah, like, I want to finish this book series, I want to watch that show, right? Like, it's not like a bucket list item, it's just, like, something that I want to, and probably inevitably at some point will do, just, like, it takes time, right? I don't want to go skydiving, right? Like, that seems scary, right? Like a lot of the stuff that people say, right? Like,
skydiving
like
is awesome.
Jumping, skydiving.
I'm afraid skydiving is awesome,
right? Like, that's just, like, not...
Oh. Dude, once you jump out the plane, there's no feeling like it. It's amazing. I've been twice, actually.
I guess the traveling thing is one that people oftentimes point to. Like, I want to go to this country, I want to go to that country. I don't have, like, a bucket list country I wanted to travel to, but I think I just, in general, would probably like to travel more because, like, the furthest I've gotten is Italy, which is, like, not far at all.
Yeah.
That's like you saying the furthest you've gotten is to, like, South Florida.
Yeah. Oh wow. Damn. Is it that close to you? I guess it is. Yeah.
I mean, it's Germany,
I
Austria,
don't know.
and Italy, right? So that it's not like
Oh,
Germany
you're
doesn't
right.
border Italy, but also Austria, like in height, is not that much, right? So
Right.
I mean, maybe a little bit more because I think also Atlanta is fairly south in Georgia, and I would assume that Florida and
Nah.
Italy are about the same size.
Atlanta's like middle to northern
It's
Georgia.
actually more.
But
I looked at the map earlier today, and I just tripped. I remember.
Yeah. But now, as you mentioned,
Oh, no, it is in the
traveling
north.
on
Yeah,
my
of course.
bucket.
Yeah, no. Again, I was literally looking at the map. Because election results, but
You're literally talking to an ATLian. I can just tell you where it's at.
yeah,
It's so you had mentioned traveling. Mine on my bucket list, dude. I've done a lot of cool things in my life, dude. God, dude. If I had to, so do I have to pick one? Do I have to pick one?
no, not necessarily.
Okay, two things on my bucket list that I want to do in life. I want to make a song with DJ Paul or Juicy J from 3 6 Mafia. It's just been on my bucket list as a kid. And the second thing is to travel to New Zealand. Smokey's dream home is New Zealand. Me, I would love to go to New Zealand, dude. It just looks awesome there. Like, that's one place I would love to travel to.
Yeah, no, I mean, New Zealand is beautiful, and unlike the country it's most heavily associated with, which is Australia, it's
Australia,
nice, right? And
yes,
also, the thing is, like, New Zealand isn't even that close to Australia, but I guess it's because they're both British colonies, and they're, like, in the general same part of the world. And there's not that much that is close to New Zealand, so, Yeah, no, I mean, I guess for me, like, the traveling-wise, it's just, like, traveling a bit further, right? Like, maybe a different continent, like, I don't know, Asia, Africa, South America, some, like, I mean, I'll take New Zealand.
Yeah, that's a place I wanted to go. Moving on to our next one here, JJ. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
I'm going to pull this so you guys can see. I'm literally just pulling something at random here. Okay. When you were young, what did you dream of later doing or having? When you were young, what did you dream of doing or having?
I guess the question of what did you dream of doing is like, what did you want to be when you grow up, right? I guess that's sort of the question. When I was very young, I always used to say I want to be an inventor, and then I was told that that's not really like a profession, and so I ended up pivoting to saying I want to be a scientist. Now, I mean, I am technically studying computer science, but I'm not really in science in any like practical sense. But that's what that's sort of the direction I was like inventing science. I mean, maybe if I had known a bit more about jobs, I would have said engineering instead, right? But like something like, I guess, yeah, no, it's just like this, like driving things forward, inventing new things. That was always the thing I wanted to do when I was a kid.
Yeah. You wanted to create things, which in a sense is kind of like what I wanted to do. I wanted to be, the biggest rapper ever. I wanted to make music with some of my favorite artists that I listen, and I've done that to a sense, not the biggest.
I guess the previous answer does, to some degree, work with the current question, right? Like, what do you want to do when you were young, right?
Oh, bucket list. Yeah, you're right. Actually, you're right.
It overlaps. I mean, bucket list is what you currently would want to do, right? This was what when you were like young, but you said it was like since you were young, you wanted to do this. So in this case, it works.
Yeah.
I mean, you can give another answer if there's another thing you want to say to that, but we can also just bring up the third question.
All right. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Did you have more to say on that?
No, I was saying if you want to actually give an answer to the previous card beyond what you've already said on the other one, right? If you want to have another childhood thing you wanted to be or do or whatever the question was. But otherwise, you can also move on.
Yeah, I got my third one for you. This is going to be interesting. So there's two questions on these cards. I'm going to give you do you want question number 1 or question number 2? You pick, JJ.
I'll take question number 2.
1. Question number 2?
Yeah.
We're going to flip it over. All right. When is it appropriate to stand up to someone? When is it better to just let it go? So that's almost a 2-part question. When is it appropriate to stand up to someone? When is it better to just let it go? That's an interesting question.
I mean, I would argue that those are actually 2 separate questions, right? Because appropriate to stand up to someone and better not to is not the only 2 options, right? There might be cases where it wouldn't be appropriate to stand up, but it might not. I mean, okay, that's maybe unlikely, it wouldn't matter. But there are a lot of situations where it might be appropriate to step up, but it would still be better not to, right? Like authorities, generally speaking, right? Like if, say, a cop was treating you unfairly, it might be, in theory, appropriate to stand up and point out their wrongdoing, but you're probably better off not doing it, right?
Hey, don't do that if you black in America. Yeah. Don't do that. That's something only y'all can get away with. Don't do that.
I mean, you know, like some cops are just pretty big into authority in general. Like, you know, some don't discriminate with their violence. I mean, some do. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that cops are never racist, but yeah, no, but like, I think that's sort of the thing, right? Like, it's appropriate to stand up to someone if they're doing something wrong, right? If they're doing something that I would argue if they're doing something that's morally wrong. Or, I guess maybe in some cases also, there is maybe a practical argument to be made, right? Like, if you have, like, if your boss is, like, saying, like, hey, do this and that, like, oh, yeah, write a program that does this and that in that way, and you're like, actually, I think it would be better.
Well,
I guess not really setting up. I guess it's more like a suggestion, right? Because, like, it would be better if it was the other way, right? I guess that's not really setting up. But, yeah, no, I think, like, setting up someone is when they're wrong, right? Like, morally wrong. I mean, when they're factually wrong, you can still correct them, but it's not the same thing. And better to back down is generally most of the time when they have power over you, and especially if you know there's a reasonable chance that they would use that power against you if you were to stand up to them, right? So again, that's like the authority figures. You'd only stand up to them like if you're not afraid of the consequences, or if you don't expect there to be consequences, even if there could theoretically be some.
It's so crazy because we both are answering the same 2-part questions, but we're both. My answer is going to be kind of polar opposite of what you're saying. So when is it okay to stand up to someone? I agree with what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing. I think if someone's doing something morally wrong, yes, stand up, say something. But in my head, the first thing that came to me is if you see someone that's doing something that's detrimental to themselves, like if they love cutting themselves. Like it's not standing up like you said, you know, it's something that they're doing bad. Like, hey, you're cutting yourself. I see you're doing it. I know it's bad for you. Hey man, listen, you should stop doing that. Stop doing that. You know, that's not good for you. Or, you know, someone's constantly talking about offing themselves. Hey man, you should probably get some help. I'm probably going to stand up and say, hey, someone needs to intervene into your life. You know, I'm looking at it from the point of helping someone versus you're looking at the point of standing up to someone who's doing something bad to yourself.
I mean, now the way I read the question, right, is like, you know, standing up to bullies, right? That's sort of a thing when people talk about. Like when I hear standing up to someone, I'm thinking, you know, like you're going against something they tell you to do, or you're like pushing back against the behavior. I wasn't like the more constructive thing. I do think it's perfectly worthwhile. It's not what I intuitively would have filed under standing up to someone, but it's definitely
right.
Valid.
And maybe that has something to do with the way me and you were brought up. Maybe we just were brought up different. But my brain instantly went to, hey, if I see that you're doing something wrong, or you're doing something that's bad for you or people around you, like if I see a friend of mine just yelling at his kid because they don't understand a math question, I'd be like, hey bro, man, it's a child, you know, like you have to explain to them. To me, that's standing up to the parent, their child, you know.
I mean, that one now is more in how I read it as well.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to when is it okay to back down, I'm looking. You're saying like, you know, hey, if like your boss,
better to back down.
Yeah, better to back down. Okay.
No,
so for me,
very particular with the wording.
No, go ahead.
No, the way for me, when I heard better, my instinct was immediately to think like, when is it better for you to stand down? I guess when is it better morally? You could also ask, but that's obviously a different answer.
So when is it better to back down? To me, is when if I'm showing someone the a way, like, bro, let's take I'm the lead guy on a job. I've been doing this job for 10 years. This is your first day here. I'm telling you, this is how you do the job. And you're doing completely opposite. And I've told you multiple times, you know what? I'm backing down. There's no point. You're not listening. I'm telling you what needs to be done to get the goal that needs to be achieved or accomplished, but you're not listening. So you know what? Have at it. Your way. I back down. You got it. You know, if I'm telling you how it's supposed to be done and I know it works, hey, how do I get off of drugs? Stop. Just stop. And you're not doing it. You know what? You're just gonna have to do it on your own then.
I mean,
that's how I look at it.
Maybe not particularly useful advice, but I think sort of in a broader sense, right? It's whenever something is like super important and you're not going to come to like a mutually agreeable solution, you just might have to back down. Or like logically, right? Yeah. I guess that's sort of what you generally said, right? Where like if you're getting into an argument with someone and it's very clear you're not going to get to agreement, right? Then at some point, there's no point in still pursuing the argument. Unless it's like super duper important, right? If it was like a life or death situation, then maybe you keep pushing. But like 99% of cases in real life, when you get in a conflict with someone, it's probably not that important, right? So if you're getting into an argument with someone and it turns out like you are very firm in your position, they're very firm in their position, right? As you said, right? Like they're not listening to you. Then just back down. There's no reason to have an argument that's not going to be productive anyways. Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my voice if it's not going to get us anywhere. If we're just going to argue which might, you know what? I'm not going to speak on my relationship, but that might be why I'm single. Because, you know, I'm like, okay, I don't want to argue. And then it turns into, oh, well, then you don't care. You don't care. It's like, no, we're not getting anywhere. You know, we're not getting anywhere. So I'm backing down. You got it. You want to be mad? Be mad.
No, enjoy yourself. I think for like conflict resolution, that is like overall the good principle, right? Because at the end of the day, if both people are like intent on not backing down, then just end up in a situation where it probably just exactly escalates, and you get angrier and angrier, and it's just not good for either of you, right? So it's just that's will just stop. Yeah, I would totally agree.
Yeah, that was a good question there, man. I like that one.
And I guess that brings us to our songs of the week. What is your song of the week?
All right, so mine is an interesting choice. This is a song called Die Very Rough by Mario Judah. I won't say anything else. Have at it. I'm a big dog, big bear, nigga, I'm a lion. I'm the predator of the prey that is hiding. Oh my, I have found you, nigga. Don't you run from me, little nigga. You are not fast enough. You are not brave enough. You are now it's time for you to die very rough. What are your thoughts on this, JJ?
So I understand this is a bit of a meme, but honestly, this kind of goes hard, right? Like, it's actually like
it goes quite in. This song goes in. I'm a big dog, big bear, and I'm a lion. I'm the predator, I'm the prey, I am mine. Oh my, I have found you. Don't you run from me, you man. That shit go. That shit go.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, honestly, like, musically, I think I like this quite a lot. And so when I was looking for the cover, I inadvertently found out, right? This guy, like, he wrote the song, he sang the song, he produced the song. It's just like, it's a one-man production. And honestly, that's quite impressive. And it turned out really good, right? This is... You know, I mean,
you know, every song almost I've ever done has always been wrote, produced.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I thought about bringing this up, it occurred to me that also applies to your music. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of your music. That's just a genre thing. It's just not.
No, that's fine. Yeah. Look, let me ask you this: have you heard this song before?
I believe you've actually showed it to me before. I don't know how we came up, but yeah.
This song slaps, bro. I'm sorry. It slaps.
I actually, I saw he had put out like 3 albums and like various singles. So I actually like, maybe I should just like look into his music in general. Because if like, this is his kind of woofer, then like, yeah, no, like, that actually like genre-wise kind of works for me.
Yeah, it's like rock, it's like trap metal.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I believe that's how I've seen it described. But yeah, no, it's just, I don't know what exactly qualifies trap, but yeah, no, this really works for me.
Yeah? What you got?
Well, my song of the week is American Idiot by Green Day.
Oh.
Idiot. Don't want a nation under the new media. Hey, can you hear the sound of hysteria? The subliminal mind fuck America.
Yeah, of course I know this. Now I have to ask the obvious question here, JJ.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know exactly what I'm going to ask. You answer it. You know the question I want to ask. Why this song? Go ahead.
It just seemed appropriate.
You know what? I can't wait to our next podcast. Ooh, I'm gonna F you up. You want to do that? I got you.
Hey, listen, right? It's not about you, okay?
I didn't say it was. you said it all, my friend. You said it all. I didn't say a word. Good song, though.
You were all kinds of upset. I mean, it's a great song. This was apparently made in response to 9/11 and the 04 election as well. So they were like very unhappy with the direction that the country was going, and also with the influence of media, of course, as you heard a lot there. And I think a lot of the ideas behind it are still very appropriate to this day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there are probably better songs if you want to criticize media specifically, and I think the lyrics aren't like that super deep, but yeah, no, I mean, the idea behind it certainly still applies. And it's sometimes weird when you have these songs, right, that are like pointing out against like certain social issues, and you're like, oh, this song is like 20 years old, and the issue is the same still.
Yeah,
right? Like the media,
it is.
Obviously, like I don't think they go into details as much here, right? And there's like the whole subliminal stuff or whatever. I don't think that's like taken too literally. And there are other songs that like point out more, where it's like, oh yeah, like they're always focusing on negativity and that sort of stuff. Where like the media is still the same, right? Like politics is still the same. Like it. I mean, there are things that have changed. And I'm not going to pretend like it's the same as 20 years ago, but like a lot of things.
Kind of. I mean, the times have changed, but when it comes to black, white, blue, red, Republican, Democrat, it kind of is the same. Kind of is.
Yeah, no, I mean, that probably mostly has stayed somewhat similar. I think there are other things that have changed. I mean, actually, I think even like the red blue stuff, I think, if anything, it's gotten worse, right? Like the political divisiveness. But yeah, no, I mean,
I just can't wait till next week, dude. I got a song called Germanic. Well, actually, dumbass. Can't wait to play that one for you. I'm fucking with you, JJ. Sarcasm. The word of the day, sarcasm.
See, it has been alleged that Germans don't have a sense of humor, so maybe that's the problem. I don't know.
Hey, man, it's I can't wait to the next podcast, dude. I can't wait now. I can't wait, dude. I'm gonna actually make a song myself. I'm gonna make a song myself and just send it to you. But no, dude, this is why I enjoy doing this with you, man. We can joke, we can talk crap, talk intellectually, go to deep topics, deep thinkers. This is why I like doing this with you, because we are who we are and we can be who we want to be. I like it.
No, I mean, I think the whole like the deeper joking. I think there's a point where like there's quite a lot of variety. I mean, I think if you're like actually like trying to like sell this program to viewer, it's kind of difficult. Where like, oh yeah, like the topic is quite different every week, and like some of this is funny, some of this is very serious, and it's like, okay, yeah, what? There's different people on. It's like, I mean, okay, that part is maybe not the weirdest thing, but like, it's just like it's really not that consistent. Except that it is, like,
I mean, the structure is consistent.
Yeah,
but sometimes we make.
But like,
yes,
the topics, it's all a bit different. Yeah, but I guess with that bit of meta analysis out of the way, that brings this episode of the Trash Talk podcast to a close. Yes. Don't forget to check the Trash Talk things in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video, then why don't you subscribe to this channel as well if you haven't already? And if you wait, oh yeah, right. I was gonna say if you want to more like to subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, you were supposed to give a like. That's how this works. And obviously, if you have something to say, leave a comment or just links in the description below. Hollywood.
That's it.
That's it.
Hey, here we go, dog. Man, I'm sitting in a room, got a bunch of tattoos, and this one is some shrooms. Keep on going, and they're really, really mean. Got a shamrock here, and the color is green. Over there, man, I'm about to fail my classes. JJ, will you please take off of your glasses? God dang, man, they're ugly as hell. You know what? The way you did that, you should probably be in jail.